I'm Sumer Datta. I'm the Research Director for Service Management at the Aberdeen Group. My research really covers the entire service lifecycle, if you will, from a customer service perspective. To really look at it is there's a customer out there, whether he's a consumer or a business, it could be he or she, a consumer or a business, and they reach out for a particular service issue. It could be a customer service request, it could be a repair, it could be something's broken and they need a replacement. So we talk about all the channels with which the customer can reach out to a supporting organization, connect with that organization, and then get the service that they need. So from the supporting organization's point of view, you have many channels available on the back end to provide that level of support. If that support does not happen, then you have to dispatch a technician, so you look at it from a field service perspective. And then overall, we're really looking at how all of that fits together from the delivery of the eventual customer experience. So we look at something called service strategy. It's really how executives in a business are looking at service and support to differentiate themselves from their competition. And it's really, all of this is meant to drive profitability within the service side of the business. We're seeing more and more that businesses are looking to use their service organizations as a profit center. And in turn, in our research, about 61% of companies actually manage service now as a profit center as opposed to a cost center. And 63% or so of companies are actually generating a margin on service. So that's become a significant trend if you look at 5 years ago when companies were purely cost-centric on service, and now they're profit-centric. So as we move, as we've looked over the last 12 months and we look forward, obviously the economy is a big concern for businesses, but the major pressures or the major drivers for the service business, there's external pressures where customers are continuously demanding more and more and better service. And that's not just from a speed of service perspective, it's from an efficiency point of view. Customers want technicians on site, and they want them on site faster, but essentially they want them on site, they want the right technician on site so that their problem is fixed. So it doesn't really do me any value if a technician comes to finish or fix my product and they can't do that. If it's not the right technician with the right part, with the right information, I still have a product that's not fixed even though the technician was there in 2 hours or 1 hour or even in 30 minutes. So the customers are demanding better service and more efficient service. From an organizational perspective of the organization that's delivering the service, the pressures are to meet those expectations or even beat those expectations, but still manage it profitably from a cost perspective, from a revenue perspective, and driving a high level of productivity and utilization within the business. And those pressures are primarily the ones that we see across the service organization. So for example, in the field, productivity and utilization is really important and key. And that happens in the contact center as well. When we look at the parts and logistics side of the business, and that's part of the research, the cost element is really becoming, is really one of the biggest factors. Is managing your parts inventory, making sure they get out there on site, but still doing it at a lower cost. And then when we look at the overall service strategy or the profit-centric view of the business, revenue is becoming more and more of a goal. Companies are really looking to drive more and more revenue from the service side of the business. And so within each one of those pressures, productivity, cost, and revenue, there's certain steps that companies are taking to get to those. And I'll touch upon maybe one for each. So let's say from a field and from a revenue perspective, we see organizations really focused on better contract management. And that is really built on the delivery of service as per expectations to your customers within SLAs or outside of SLAs. So if it's within a service level agreement, as long as you meet and beat those agreement standards, you're going to get a contract renewal, and that means additional revenue streams for your business. From a productivity perspective, we're seeing an investment in mobility tools, so better service information, if you will, to the technicians, to the dispatchers, all of those sort of components of the service ecosystem receiving better information so that they're actually spending less time on paperwork, they're spending less time on the actual search for information. Overall, we find about utilization rates at about 64 to 65%. So that means an average technician is non-productive for about a third of the day. They're spending that either idle or sitting in traffic or doing paperwork or doing stuff that's not tied to actually resolving customer issues. And then from a cost perspective, it's all about efficiencies, getting the right technician there on a first visit basis. We found the cost of a single truck roll is about $220 on average across many industries. It's higher in some industries like utilities, maybe a little bit lower in some of the more transactional industries. And so if you don't get the technician or the right technician there at the right time, you have to dispatch another visit or maybe even 2 additional visits, and that's a significant cost to your business. So it's really bringing the efficiency game, which impacts the cost, impacts the customer, and then that efficiency ties to better resolution, which ultimately ties to better contract renewal rates, which ultimately drives revenue, which is now the biggest driver for the service business.